Thank you, Mr. Chairman. On advice of legal counsel, I erred in my request. I need to make a motion to go to recess for the Republican Party to caucus.
Second.
Yeah, let's vote no, Democrat.
Okay, number 10.
Legislators Pahucki and Depew, resolution authorizing the county executive to negotiate a contract with Easy Equities, Inc. for the sale of certain county property formerly known as Camp LaGuardia, located within the towns of Chester, Blooming Grove, and the village of Chester.
Second.
Mr. Pahucki.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I know the hour is late, so I beg your indulgence because, as a sponsor of this resolution, I have quite a bit to say. You know, when we first started out on this road to purchase this property, I thought it was a terrible business decision. In my world, I work with balance sheets, profit and loss statements, return on investment ratios, and other various business models. At the time, I publicly took a swipe at the county executive over my frustration with this as a business decision. In addition, I publicly hurled a personal insult at Diana. Now I'd like to take this opportunity to publicly apologize to both the county executive and especially the person, Ed Diana. Whoever he is. Ed, I'm sorry, and I ask for your apology. You see, I thought back then, as I still believe, it was and is a bad business decision. But after the meeting in Chester on Monday evening, it started to make sense and it all started to come together. I apologize to you. You're welcome. Thank you. In a room with a Times Herald Record, estimated a crowd of 300 people, all angry at our county executive and this legislature. Ed Diana, the compassionate human being that he is, stood up and tried to explain. He tried to jog the memories and he tried to calm the unjustified fears and displayed, quite frankly, more guts than I had. And he told the crowd, most of the crowd, what they didn't want to hear. This was a decision. Now I understand that this wasn't a business decision at all. This was a decision motivated by compassion, by caring, and by human emotion. I believe when Ed Diana heard the stories about camp residents urinating in front of children, when he listened to his constituents tell stories of a man jumping a fence and hiding behind a tree, leering at someone's wife and children, Ed Diana then made that compassionate decision to protect his people. It's my sense that Ed Diana, the husband, the father, and the grandfather said enough is enough and waded into this nightmare with New York City and decided to put an end to the residents' fears and frustrations. County executive came to this legislature and told us that we had to purchase the property so that people could be safe. He reminded us, and we heard firsthand from speakers right at this podium, the phrase, anything is better than what's there now. Anything. He told us, and we heard from a local elected representative, that we have to do something, anything, to get rid of this, quote, festering sore and the blight on a community. He told us, and we heard, help, help, help. And help we did. And now here's the thank you. Let me verbalize some of the generous gratitude bestowed on Ed Diana in the legislature. Down in Chester, assessor sues Orange County for the taxes. The school district, when questioned by a reporter prior to the purchase about the impact of the lost revenue from taxes, stated it was less than 1% of their budget and it was negligible. And yet Monday night on stage and tonight, there's a cry over those tax losses as a terrible burden on the school district taxpayers. I have the Chronicle article in case somebody wants to check it. And finally, to some of the respondents to the Times Herald Record articles, residents who Ed Diana fought to help in this legislature without a limb, writing things online that sicken me when I read them. False accusations, innuendo, Eddie the middleman for KJ, frontman for another Ace Farm deal. Disgusting. Nothing more than a continuous kick to the groin. Ed Diana's and the legislature's thank you for a job well done. I guess that's what's meant by no good deed goes unpunished. Ladies and gentlemen, we need to put politics and political posturing behind. We need to put it aside and we need to work together. Back before the county bought the site, I questioned how we're going to afford this purchase, and the county executive asked us to trust him. He said he's working on a business park, something along those lines, something that we can be proud of. Well, as the title goes, to a long-time play, something funny happened on the way to the forum. Unfortunately, only today, what has happened since February 2007 and today, isn't funny at all. Between then and now, gas prices gone up over 50%, diesel fuel blacktop almost doubled, economy hit a slowdown, a trend that some economists say is going backwards. The sales tax revenue took a dramatic nosedive. New home construction that on the average put $10,000 to $15,000 a piece into our revenue stream through sales tax ground to a screeching halt. Transfer tax, mortgage tax, revenue dried up. Consumer confidence at the lowest level since 1992. And less people are shopping, stores are closing, and jobs are evaporating. And yet through all of this, and believe me, there's plenty more great news coming along because we haven't seen the worst of this yet. And yet, the residents and elected officials are telling us not to unload this parcel. Keep it and do nothing with it because we don't want homes, we don't want businesses, we don't want traffic, we don't want to burden our schools, and the resistance goes on and on and on. Spread that $9 million around the county, but don't expect us, the amnesic residents of the 3 municipalities who cry for help, to shoulder any of the burden. Ladies and gentlemen, quite frankly, I don't believe this legislature can afford to keep this property. I don't believe we can afford to pay the taxes on this property and improve it as a park and build sports fields. Now I believe we need to sell it and we need to take the best odds dollars that are on the table before us and let local zoning laws prevail. However, there is an alternative to easy equities this evening. I'll say it again, as I talked with Mr. Newhouse a year ago, say it again as I stated in a committee meeting on June 24th. Mr. Newhouse, Mr. Bohan, Mr. Balestro, how can we in this legislature help you take this property? How can we help you own it and have full control over it and do with it what you and your constituents want? You received the formal offer on July 1st from the county executive's office. I'd love nothing more, believe me, and I think I could freely speak for the majority of this body, than for your 3 municipalities to take ownership of this site. And I believe we will work with you in any way possible to make that happen. With that said, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make the motion to postpone the question before us today until the August legislative session.
Second.
Motion to postpone, favorable. I'd like to speak to the motion, only the motion. There we go.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. On the motion, we do have an item for us today. It's voting on the company that's made an offer that came out of the Physical Services Committee last week, and I understand the surprise of people. How did this get done? Was this a last-minute thing? All bids have been on the table since January of this year. Again, I want to thank my colleague, Mr. Pahucki, for his kind words and his recognition and his support for the fact that the county is not a business. We provide a service, whether we're paving roads, we don't look and say how much money we're going to make on this, or providing a social service. We are providing services here. This legislature, my 7 years in this legislature, I was so proud of this legislature a year and a half ago when they voted to help the community, the Blooming Grove, Chester community, the county as a whole. They're going through the area to get rid of a blight. They did do that. They voted overwhelmingly to do that. I know people had concerns. What are we going to do next? What's going to happen? Well, the county put out some RFPs to take care of some of the issues facing this county today. As Mr. Pahucki said, the rising costs. How about some workforce housing? How about for our seniors that are looking for places to live? This is an ideal location. 43 people, I think, took the tour of Camp LaGuardia. We don't have a lot of options. 4 people finally placed bids, and 1 is now dropped out, so now we're down to 3. So we have a responsibility. We've done something very, very positive for the legislature, and I, for one, cannot thank you for enough for all that you've done. Everybody from Port Jervis to Middletown, I don't leave anybody out. Everybody